Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Brian W. Adams.
Hello, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us on today's Inspire podcast. We've had so many amazing stories here at Inspire, and it's really about this idea of us being able to come together, share our stories, and inspire others. A lot of people think that success in this business is really something that people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. What I am so proud of is to partner with so many great people to learn their stories and learn how they've overcome in so many different ways. And they've had a positive attitude while doing that. And today, I'm so excited to welcome INS Marketing Systems to the Integrity family. I'm joined by their founders, Roann Sulak and Roann Sulak, and I'm so excited to share y'all's story. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation. We appreciate it.
You guys were one of the first names that were brought up, and I think it was Dan McNerney that kind of introduced this concept in those early days, and you're friends with so many of our partners, including Neisschlosser and Fleming, the Copelands, Wilhelms, the Kimballs, and Premier, and everybody else. But it's such an exciting opportunity, especially to welcome fellow Texans to the podcast. And you're just right down the road here in DeSoto, Texas. And you guys have just built such an amazing business. And at Integrity, we talk about being a family-oriented business. We have 5 core values. In fact, they're on our wall. It's about integrity, doing the right thing in everything that we do, even when nobody's watching. It's about family. We believe we're partners with family businesses. We also work hard to support our own family. And then ultimately, man, this is about supporting American families and our work families as well. It's about service. We're about serving others and really having that heart of service in all we do. It's about respect, and it's about partnership. And so this is such an exciting time because we could talk about every single one of those core values with you guys and everything that we have. But tell us a little bit more about INS Marketing Systems, Calvin, and maybe let's talk about how your family's involved.
Well, we've got 8 children, and 5 of the 8 kids, as I still call them kids, even though they're 35, 40 years old today, they're
always going to be kids.
They're always going to be our kids, right? And 5 of them have come along into the company, Denae and Clinton and Clayton and Caleb. Who am I missing? Destiny?
Destiny.
Yeah, sorry to keep count. But anyway, yeah, they've tagged along and kind of watched things change. And we're business at the office, but we've got to leave that business sometimes at the office and not take it home.
Yeah.
So we're big on family values at the house, and big on business values at the business. Keep them separated a little bit.
That's amazing. 5 family members, 5 kids, so 7 of y'all family members working in the business. You know, we've seen a lot of different family-owned businesses, family-oriented businesses, but I think that's a record. What happened to the other 3? What did the other 3 do?
Well, insurance.
Yeah, a couple of them were in the insurance at one time. My daughter moved to Florida and got out of the business, my oldest daughter. She worked in our office for a while, and then another son was in the business there for a while, too. So I think it was about all of them. I can't remember, did all of them get in the business at one time? But 5 of them survived.
In the business.
So 5 out of 8.
And then another son-in-law is getting ready to take his test. So.
Hey, you know, I say this all the time. I mean, this is one of the best businesses in the world. It's a business of us giving back in so many ways. Where else would they go? I mean, this is such a noble business that you can also do very well in. It's great to see young people getting in the business, continuing to follow you all and your leadership. Now, I also understand the next generation could be coming one day as well. You guys not only had a bunch of kids, you got a bunch of grandkids. Tell us about them, Roy.
We got 14.
14
hoping
grandkids.
15's on its way.
14, hoping 15's on its way. I mean, you could have your own football team.
Right.
My goodness.
They keep us busy.
How many boys, how many girls?
10 girls and 4 boys.
10 girls, 4 boys.
Only she would know that.
Wow.
And we have 12 of them under the age of 18.
Wow. Do you get to see them a lot?
I have 2 of them living with me.
Yeah.
2 of wow.
We've got one that's
because they sold their house.
Yeah, our oldest grandson, he's a captain in the Air Force.
Oh,
so,
wow, that's awesome.
I don't know where he got those genes, not from me, but anyway, he is a captain.
Well, you've always been real patriotic, and you've always been,
right.
as I understand, the coolest granddad in the world. And I don't know what it is about grandkids and their grandparents. It's just, there's just something so special. I mean, I just got this bowl, and I don't know what compelled her to do this, but my aunt just sent this old bowl from my grandmother's house, and it's nothing really that fancy or anything, but my grandmother had this bowl in her house, and whenever you would go in, she always had candy there, and it was something you'd always hit. And it had those little strawberries. You remember those little strawberry candies with like juice in them or whatever?
Right.
And then butterscotch. She always had those two in there. And I remember, and every now and then, man, if you hit it right, what was the yellow stick gum that you would have? The
Juicy fruit.
What was it? Juicy fruit.
Juicy fruit.
Every now and then she'd have a couple of packages of juicy fruit, man.
Sounds
You
like
know how old we are when you can remember juicy fruit.
sounds like my mom's house because she'll be 97.
So my aunt just gave me this bowl, and it just brought back all of these memories. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And now it's up in my office. I don't have juicy fruit in there, but I've got little mints just so if anybody comes in, I get to tell the story about my grandparents and my grandmother in particular. And then my granddad, if there was one person on earth I could have one more day with, man, it'd be my granddad. It just, and there's something about granddads. I got two boys. My boys love their granddads more than anything, man, and they just love being around them.
Right.
And you have to be one of the coolest granddads. I heard a story about you coming back from a carrier meeting one time with your hair braided with red, white, and blue braids. So tell us about that.
That was a trip to Jamaica. We had a convention with one of the carriers, and that's when Roann and in our younger days, I had the long hair and curly hair in the back. Believe it or not, I've still got a little hair.
Hey, and that's coming back. The mullet's back, man.
And but they have this beer down there in Jamaica. It helps you buy more stuff when you're shopping.
Is that the red stripe one?
Yeah, and the red stripe caused me to get the red, white, and blue braids. Got very patriotic coming back on American Airlines on one of those trips.
What did your grandkids think about that?
Well, a lot of them, thank goodness, weren't around at that time. Maybe one or two.
It was our younger kids.
Yeah, the younger kids at that time were appreciating Dad's braids.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, you guys, I mean, we talk a lot about family on this and talk about how people have overcome different things. A lot of people think that just because you're so successful today that you were, born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And what I've found in doing so many of these podcasts and really talking to so many of our amazing partners is none of them were like that. I mean, it's all about hard work and humility. I mean, these are some of the hardest working people and some of the most humble people, just like yourself. Where did you grow up, and how did you get into the insurance business?
Well, my dad was in the insurance business and worked with one of the home offices. He was on the inside a little bit, and I got into business at 19. I didn't get drafted for the Vietnam thing was going on then, and I told my mom and dad, no use of me going to college, I'm going to get drafted. Right. Missed that draft, married at 19 to my first wife, and got a good one the second time, right?
Upgrade.
Yeah. And so didn't get drafted, got in the business at 19 and started selling. And then, of course, we went from there, started in Houston, Texas, went to Amarillo, Texas. They needed a manager in Amarillo, and then I was 21 years old, and they said, you're the manager in Amarillo. I said, good. Then got back to Dallas, came to Dallas just real quick hey, we're opening up a new office in Dallas. You want to be a part of it? And I said, yeah, there's making plenty of money in Amarillo, but no place to spend it. So let's go to Big D. So that's how we wound up in Dallas.
Oh my gosh, that is such a great story. Well, and then as you guys started your family, we have something else in common that I know we've connected on. I had twins that were micro preemies, and so did you. Tell us about that.
That was a shock. I mean, because I went to the doctor's office to do a sonogram, and Calvin said, she's just going to spend money for nothing on a sonogram. And so I was 26 weeks, and they said, here's one head, and here's two heads. And I said, holy, whatever.
You didn't know you were
I didn't know I was
twins.
having twins.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I said, go get my husband, and he's in the waiting room. And They told him, and he said, "Oh no, I told the office as long as they told us we weren't going to have twins, y'all are kidding." He said, "No, sir, I don't kid about stuff like this."
Wow.
And 2 weeks later, I had them.
Yeah.
Wow, 28 weeks.
Yeah.
And they were in the hospital for
3 months, and we had we had 5 other kids at home.
Oh my God!
And my house flooded at that time, so we're dealing with the flood, dealing with the hospital, going back and forth.
Yeah.
One came home 2 weeks earlier than the other one, so you had one preemie at home and one preemie in the hospital. And
what was that journey like? So, we had micro preemies, and it was, it was crazy. There's no way to explain it, really.
No, it's like how can you? We look back now and we go, how did we do that?
I know. We did.
How did we do that? We did. You got to do what you got to do.
God, we got through it. So our first twin, he was 1 pound 6 ounces. He lived for 46 minutes, and Titus passed away. Just his water had broken at 19 weeks, and he didn't have the lung capacity, right? And so, and then Asher was in the hospital for 147 days, and then going, past that, like it was about 3 years of just, just
back
hardship.
And forth, right.
It was so hard. We didn't have kids at home. We were able to. I remember grieving for Titus and just being so shocked because we had so much trouble getting pregnant in the beginning. And then I remember saying, we have to focus on Asher. And so it allowed us to really go, let's grieve here, but now we got to be here and be his champion. And thank God we didn't have any other kids at home or anything like that. It was hard enough. I can't imagine how hard it would be to have 5 kids back at home.
Yeah, it was hard. And they're all in school.
And they were, yeah.
And now I was going to work, taking care of kids to school, and going to the hospital.
And now they're 33, and they're both in the business.
Right, both are twins.
And they told us one of them was going to pass away after 3 days to say your goodbyes. And
oh my gosh, we heard that a bunch.
Because look at God. Here's their blessings.
I know, man. That is it's hard to. When you go through some of that, it's hard not to see that as just a blessing, whereas unexplainable. Because whenever we were going through it, 24 weeks was considered viability, meaning that anything past or before 24 weeks isn't supposed to live. They were at 23 weeks. Back 33 years ago, I don't know what the viability was, but it had to be before. It had to be after 28 weeks. 28 weeks is still really dangerous, but 3 decades ago, that was really early. That had to be some of the earliest twins that have ever survived in this area at that point because of just how rare that was. And it's amazing to look back on that and just be grateful in so many different ways. And now getting to work with them on a daily basis.
Right. And play golf with one of them.
Yeah. Is he pretty good?
He's real good.
Yeah,
he's like in the 60s.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
he's good.
Wow, that is.
If anybody needs a golf partner,
he's the golf.
He's the guy.
That's awesome. What about the other one? He didn't take up golf, or
no?
He's baking.
He's not a
cakes.
golfer.
Yeah.
He loves to bake. That's his deal. He goes and does his baking thing as a hobby.
Isn't it amazing how different kids can be? Like we've got our 2 boys. They are so alike in so many ways, and then they're so different in so many ways. It's so interesting to just see, how God created their different personalities, and it's just really fun, really. But you've also, and I know a lot of us have been praying for you over the years, Roann. You also have gone through your challenges. In fact, you're a walking, talking miracle. It's easy to talk about our kids and looking back in those old days, but you're a walking, talking miracle now as a cancer survivor. And what you've gone through is just amazing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I had lost my mother in 2020 and my 2 sisters back to back. And then in 2021, I lost my mother. And then in 2022, I was diagnosed with, they call it LMD. I don't look it up because I don't want to, we don't want to know the,
listen, don't
we don't
Google
want to know
that.
the prognosis.
No. That's the way I look at it. When people tell me stuff, just don't Google it.
Right.
Because there's nothing helpful about that.
Because
that's what we
didn't
had an
want to know,
understanding
and
with the oncologist that, hey, is there treatment? is it getting better or worse? We don't need these long names. We'll get through this, right?
And you've lived through a miracle situation with your 2 boys before.
Right.
So it's like, we've seen
If
God work.
yeah.
So let's give him a chance.
A lot of prayer. A lot of prayer.
So they put a myoport in my head and told me I had spine, brain, and lung cancer. So I go every 3 weeks. I used to go twice a week for the brain and every 3 weeks for my lung. And it's just, I got to take every day that God gives me because it's a blessing that I'm sitting here talking to you.
Amen.
And
yeah, everything is zeros right now. So,
well, and you had, what I remember hearing, you had 10 tumors in your brain.
over 10 tumors.
Over 10 tumors in your brain. And then, they see it, they know it's there. And then they did another scan and there's
None.
None.
Oh man, that just gave me chills.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that amazing?
I just had 4 MRIs, 2 weeks ago, and they all came out clear. And then they do another deal with Biosip, and they take blood, they take my fluid out of my head, because your fluid travels up, it doesn't go down. So that's never going to go away. But anyway, they scan it, and it's 0 cancer cells in my spine. That's nice. I mean,
and I don't watch any of it. She wants me to go in and watch it.
I wouldn't either.
I can't go watch.
And this all just happened out of the blue. Like you were not feeling well, your legs were kind of hurting. Go to the doctor, and boom.
I went to the hospital the day after Christmas in 2021, and they told me it was a pinched nerve.
Yeah.
And then it started getting worse, and they were saying, you need to exercise, you need to do this, you need to do that, and go get some acupuncture and yada, yada, yada. And I said, y'all just don't understand. Yeah. And I couldn't get dressed. I couldn't do nothing. I mean, it was awful. And I lost control over everything. And then I went to the hospital, and Destiny said, my mother is not leaving here until y'all find out what's wrong with her. And they found a lesion on my spine, and they transported me to a bigger hospital. And they said, there's nothing they can do. I was there for 4 days.
That's where all the kids pay off, because our daughters, Danae and Destiny, they've been great, helping take the load off of me, taking her to a lot of these chemo things and allowing me to stay at the office a little bit while all this was going on. So,
well, when they told me they were going to send me home on hospice, this one gets in his truck and goes all the way to UT Southwestern, and here I am. Wow. A year and a half later. I mean,
so we called this podcast Inspire. And it's really about, especially we started this during COVID, when everything was negative. I mean, you couldn't turn on TV without being scared and seeing all this negative news, right? In March of 2020, April of 2020. So we started this conference call effectively, and then we renamed it to where all of our employees would jump on, and then we would just share stories from our partners just to inspire people, give them hope, because there's this world, I mean, we're in the greatest country at the greatest time in the world, and we just need more hope in so many different ways. And we're doing that with our foundation, with giving back in our with what we're doing there, with our playground build, with all this other stuff. But this story and these stories really inspire hope in so many ways. And I know right now there's people who are either coming out of this type of time with a family member of themselves, like you're going through, or they may be going into it, right? They may not even know that they're going into it, but they're entering into this time where they're just finding out that something's not right. Doctors, I need some help. Or they're in the middle of it right now, right? They're just stuck in the middle of it with a family member, a loved one themselves. What would you tell them? What advice do you give them, all of us, in that kind of season of life?
You just got to take every day that God gives you and go forward. And I have the best support system with my family and my friends. And
I love that. Take every day at a time, like one day at a time.
You can't look back. I broke my leg. I couldn't walk for a year. I mean, it snapped. It was worse than Dak Prescott's.
That was before the cancer.
It was before the cancer, and I survived that. You know, they made ramps in the house and lowered my bed, and it was awful.
Yeah.
I was in a wheelchair forever.
What I think a lot of times happens, I know what happens to me when I go through something like this. You think years in advance, right? And you think, okay, we're going through this. What's this going to mean down the road? And the truth is, we don't have that luxury, right? We just get to think about just one step at a time. And if you stay in the present and keep praying and keep, believing in a higher power and really thinking about, okay, I'm going to get here and then we'll figure out there, and taking those steps, I think that's great advice for all of us, regardless of where we are in that kind of life cycle, because we're all going to go through tough things. We've all been through tough things. And it's really about how do we just keep putting one foot in front of the other and not get too far ahead of yourself, because all that other stuff will take care of itself. I remember my grandmother, man, she was not a good singer, but she lost her son at an early age. He was in his 20s. She lost her husband right after that. My granddad, I never got to know him. She'd gone through a lot of tough things. And I remember every day she would sing the song One Day at a Time. And she would just sing that, one day at a time. And I would ask her, like, why do you say that? And she's like, because that's all I can do, is just take it one day at a time. And so I think that's such good advice. And we're going to keep praying for you one day at a time to make sure that
it's all going to work out. That's what I keep on telling you.
It already is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. God's in control.
Well, because of all this too, we've been able to help so many other families in need
You're doing it right
that doesn't have
now.
the family support. So it's been a tough situation, but it's kind of been a blessing in disguise for other folks.
I saw that when we were in the hospital with our kids, with Asher in particular. There were so many people who were lost and just hurting as well. And as soon as you stop worrying about yourself so much and you kind of look up, you see all these other people that you can serve. And man, like that changes. When you're worried about other people and serving other people, it takes a lot of the concern off yourself, which also gives you more peace of mind. I think that's great advice overall as well.
Absolutely.
So we're so excited to have you guys partner. You've built such an amazing business. What are you most excited about that we're doing here at Integrity that we can help come alongside of you and even grow faster and at the end of the day serve more people together?
Well, I mean the whole thing, innovation in a word. Y'all are cutting edge innovation as far as the Medicare Center and all the moving parts, the lead center, the agent link with the
technology,
with where all the different moving parts. We're really into lead center with all of our agents. I think that's the connection. That's the first connection, because every salesperson needs leads first, right?
Yeah.
Without lead, we're nowhere. So we kind of start off with lead center and then work them back towards Medicare Center and teach them all those parts. And then with all the different regulations, compliance issues, we know we can count on Integrity and your team to help us there, where we don't have to do the web technology and we don't have to hire our own compliance people to do all this, even though we're still doing some of our own things, but we're utilizing what y'all provide us at no extra charge.
Yeah, well, and look, I mean, it's something about how do we take all of these benefits, all these different things we've been able to create and leverage them with partnering with great people like yourself, thinking about what we're doing with Ask Integrity and our AI capabilities. Oh my gosh, it's moving so fast, and we're so far ahead of where everybody else could be because we've been investing in this in such a big scalable way for so long. Yeah. And what we're just scratching the surface of what we're going to be able to do there. And at the end of the day, it's about how do we serve more people. And together, we're going to be able to serve a lot more people.
Oh, yeah.
The AI.
That'd be a great team. I
was talking to some of the agents this morning about the AI, and I said, I hope AI doesn't have too much TMI. Anyway, they like it when us senior people talk their language, with all the tech stuff. So,
it's going to be awesome.
It is. It's just ask Siri, huh?
Ask Integrity. But,
ask Integrity.
It's going to be a great fit.
It's exciting. Well, we're so excited you're here with us today, and we're continuing to pray for you and your family, and just amazed by what God's done in and through you from that perspective. And we're so excited to partner with you. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
so many years in the making, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. So welcome to the Integrity family, and we can't wait to see where we go from here.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
God bless you guys.
You bet.
Thank you so much.
I was
Love
going
you
to hug
guys.
you, but it's
We
okay.
will hug afterwards.
Thanks for
Okay.
inviting us into the family. We
well,
appreciate it.
we're honored to have
It's
you.
all about
Thank you.
family.
It sure is. And we're proud to be part of your family.
Thank you.
Love
I'm
you
proud
guys.
of you.
All
Yours
righty.
too.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Hope everybody's as excited as I am to have another amazing story as part of the Inspire podcast, but also an amazing family joining the Integrity family. It's humbling when you get to work with people that you respect and admire and enjoy being around, and you can just be aligned in so many different ways, and then use all the different benefits and services and resources that we've created to take it all to the next level and serve even more people. So what we're doing here at Integrity really matters. We're helping real people, and we are just getting started. I hope everybody has a great week. God bless you all, and take care. Bye-bye.